president with the Vermillion County Area Plan Commission. Along with the other members on the Area Plan Commission, we have here tonight Penny Carpenter, our Vermillion County and Zoning and Executive Director. Also members John Moore, Joe Ellis, Ron Mack, and Scott Nogle. We have neither legislative nor administrative authority. We are no way the approving authority of establishing wind farms in Vermillion County. That decision is up to our elected officials, which would be your 3 commissioners. The APC is a unique position in local government. We are an independent commission made up of private citizens who provide day-to-day advice and guidance to individuals regarding physical development, zoning, subdividing, and code regulations. Always taking the health of our residents, safety of our residents, environmental impacts first. We were approached early months of 2020 by a developer to establish wind farms in Vermillion County. We have been reviewing other county ordinances, plus the health and environment and bird impact studies in at least 12 announced public meetings. We are currently working on our 6th draft of the wind ordinance. We are here tonight to gather input, especially on setbacks or sitting of wind turbines from the residents of Vermillion County who were not able to make it to the meetings. Since technically this is not our proposed ordinance, it is also your ordinance to propose. We have one more town hall meeting after tonight in Cayuga on July 1st. After that, we'll meet at our July meeting and make adjustments to the draft ordinance in front of you, free of partisan pressures and with the input from all 3 town hall meetings. We will then schedule and conduct a public hearing before we vote favorable or unfavorable of the ordinance. After that, we will send the ordinance favorable or non-favorable to the Vermillion County Commissioners, who will either approve or deny the ordinance. Reminder, this is just a town hall meeting and not an official meeting by the APC. We want you to review the draft ordinance, give us feedback on the ordinance tonight. Everyone will have 5 minutes to talk. Please, before you talk, we ask that you give us your name and whether you reside in Vermillion County, Indiana. And please, whether you are for or against wind turbines in Vermillion County, let's respect each other when someone has the floor and is speaking. Everyone has their opinion and the right to be heard tonight. And we can just kick it off, and as you want to come up, Penny will call upon you, and you'll just come up to the mic, make the announcement of your name, and if you reside in Vermillion County, and then let us hear what you have to say about the ordinance.
All right, for those who were here last week, I'm going to set a timer. You've got 5 minutes. About a minute left. I'll kind of come towards you so you know you need to wrap up. And I'd like everybody to be as close as they could to speaking for their 5 minutes. And who wants to go first? I need your name and...
Are we up there to speak?
Yep, right here at the microphone. Yep. Because it's going to be hard for everybody to... Does he need to be pretty close to the mic?
Yeah.
Okay, closer to the mic.
Is that close enough?
There you go.
All right, my name is Bill Peebles. I live in Vermillion County. I am here tonight in opposition to wind turbines outside my front door. Put them somewhere else. I've driven across the country, and it was the middle of the night one night, and I stopped at a stop sign, rolled down the window, and I was like, my goodness, what's that noise? And there was a big wind turbine sitting right there. I didn't even know it was there. Just sitting there, and I could hear that thing. If you can hear that on the road, you can sure hear it in your living room or your bedroom or out on the patio while you're trying to hang out with your buds. So they're there, they're going to make noise. I don't want them in my front yard. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Who's next? Come on, guys, I know you're not shy. All right, sure, come on. You snuck in the back door, didn't you? I did. If you snuck in the back door and didn't sign in, we're trying to keep count of how many citizens we're having attendees. So if you could sign the sign-in sheet, I'd really appreciate it.
A couple of things I have on the things that I would ask that be included in the draft ordinance. The first thing is on setback.
Can you state your name?
Oh, I'm sorry, Teresa Baker, and I do live in Vermillion County, Indiana. On the setback, on the research I conducted, the scientists across the United States and some in foreign countries recommended somewhere between 9/10 of a mile and 2 miles. So I would request that there be a mile and a half between setback among all the cities, towns, and schools in the county. The second thing in your ordinance was concerning noise levels that there was a question on. And according to the World Health Organization, their recommendations are 30 decibels in bedrooms at night, 35 decibels in classrooms, and 40 decibels outside the bedrooms. So I would recommend that you go with what the World Health Organization's recommendations are. And at the last public meeting that you had in Newport, there was an Apex representative there, and the APC had asked them for a copy of the lease that they were asking the landowners, the farmers, to sign. And that representative said that he would try to get them a copy. Has that happened? Okay. So one thing, this I'm going to talk to the farmers about, or the landowners. The one thing that I would absolutely recommend that you do is, if you are even considering signing this lease, that you have a lease attorney look at it and explain it to you word for word. Because I'm telling you, there's a lot of stuff in those leases that I found online that unless somebody explains it to you, you don't quite understand it. This came from an Apex lease that was presented in some of the citizens, I believe, in New York. And I'm just going to read a couple paragraphs of what's in it so you'll have an idea of what you're looking at. Their use of your ground includes that they can construct, install, lay down, erect, improve, place, replace, remove, relocate, and operate any and all improvements, machinery, or equipment that the tenant deems necessary or desirable in connection with the uses described above, including without limitation, one or more wind turbine energy generators, associated towers, related fixtures, equipment, and improvements, including the footings, support, structures, and towers, above ground, underground electrical, communication lines, collection and transmission equipment, power conditioning equipment, substations, switch yards, interconnection facilities, switching facilities, operations and maintenance buildings, transformers, SCADA and telecommunication equipment, roads, gates, signs, fences, met towers, wind energy measurement equipment, maintenance yards and other related facilities, machinery, equipment and improvements, temporary improvements of any kind, including but not limited to temporary security, office and guest facilities, staging areas, power generation facilities used for wind turbine installations, laydown areas, temporary roads, crane pads, and related facilities. I don't know about you, but that's a heck of a lot of stuff that they can do to your property, and you have no say-so whatsoever as to where it's put or how it's done. Then you get to the actual lease. They start out with a 5-year, they can add 2 before they ever even start construction. Once they start construction, then it goes into a 30-year lease, and then they can add 20 more. So you could potentially be giving up the use of your land for 57 years. I don't know about you guys, but I'm not going to be around here 57 years. So it's not just me that this is going to affect, it's your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren.
Your 5 minutes
I'm
are up.
sorry.
But
Okay.
you still got a list, so hang on, you can come back around. if we get
Okay,
through
all
everybody.
right, I got a couple more things. Thank you.
Thank you, Teresa. She has a highlighted list. She knows what she wants to cover, so she'll be back. So who wants to go next? Sir, come on up.
My name is Jim Allen. I'm from Newman, Illinois, Douglas County, where we have a project over there. I want to commend these guys for what they're doing because it's pretty much thankless, as you find out. I'm just going to read this so I don't run out of time. This project will not be any kind of a farm unless you also accept that there can be a coal farm. It will be an industrial wind turbine complex, should be treated as any other multi-billion-dollar industry. Verify, verify, verify. A salesman can promise anything to you, but what you sign is the only protection you're going to have. At no point should you think you're getting the whole story. This company will know your commissioners as well as you do, and probably better. Remember that anyone who signed a lease, or in the case of Douglas County, a good neighbor agreement, cannot speak against the project, and in fact will likely have to testify positively if asked to do so. We even had 2 county board members in Douglas County that had "I love wind" signs in their yard. We suck. When I first became the project county, I was not necessarily against it. Only after disinformation, partial information, or skewed information did I become concerned. Later, I received an email to Mayor Allen from our developer with an option to buy some land on Route 36, and it was a very generous offer. However, in paragraph 6.25, it stated that at any time requested, I would testify in favor of the project before any civil or governmental body, and further, write a letter in support of it that they approved. Oh yes, the letter had to be approved. At no time publicly or privately could I speak against the project. That language is likely in any agreement that you'll be asked to sign. What is your freedom of speech worth? Well, Newman had a number of people sign an agreement for a cash payment. They did get, though, a free "I love wind" sign. An unredacted safety manual should be given to the commissioners before any consideration of an application. Any hesitancy in granting this should be a huge red flag. Your commissioners are sworn to promote your health and safety. This should be a non-negotiable requirement. The size, number of each turbine should be designated before any application is even accepted. Do not even consider taking an application without this information, along with that unredacted safety manual. Setbacks should be at least 3,250 feet like they're in Edward County, Illinois, better 12 times rotor diameter. The greater the size, the greater setback from property lines, not foundations. You guys are going to have bigger ones than we have, and ours are big. Decommissioning should be spelled out precisely. 100% of decommissioning costs should be funded, 100% protected. Any argument that a salvage value should be deducted should be disregarded. If there is salvage value, let the company reap the rewards. This is supposed to be green energy. 100% of material used in a project should be recycled. No landfill should be needed. An argument that progress being made toward recycling should be met with, "Let me know when and how that will happen." Payments should not be based on the proposed property tax revenue. State or federal government can declare industrial wind turbines non-taxable or even personal property, which they tried to do in New York State. Any payment should be spelled out in detail as to the amount, payment date, length of payment before any approval is given. There are numerous examples of rotting turbines throughout the world. The sales of complexes being made after a year or two development and limited liability corporations being owners. The security of the people of Vermillion or any other place must be ascertained. Remember, cash payments on time for a specified amount of time. The project's going to be that beneficial, it should not be a problem. Is a person representing you completely dissociated from the wind industry? If not, why would you be using them? Sign nothing without, as I said earlier, verifying. You would likely not buy a used car without checking out the reliability of the vehicle. Don't buy you an industrial wind complex without protection. Might ask, how long does Apex keep their projects? Will it be the ones owning it after a couple of years? Ours have been in process for a little over a year. They're being sold already. Did surprise me. To close, farmers, do you think the impact of these turbines will be limited to access roads and tournament bays? You know good and well, compaction can never be completely overcome. Drainage will never be the same. Clay doesn't drain like the other ones. There are health issues created by these turbines. There were none. Leases will not require that a lessor forgo any complaint about shadow flicker, ultrasound, or any other nuisance. I live 2 miles from the nearest turbine, and I can state there is an effect even at that distance. Protect yourselves, verify.
Got a couple seconds left.
Oh, well.
You ready? All right, okay. All right, good evening. My name is Christine Andrews. I am a taxpayer in Helt Township here in Vermillion County, Indiana. And I had this lovely list of things I wanted to cover tonight. But I know several of you here in this room, so I'm going to speak to you as my friend and based on what I have experienced. I lost an uncle due to COVID, and we went home for his postponed celebration of life last weekend. It was in Good Hope, Illinois. In Good Hope, Illinois, Scioto, Illinois is kind of like Dana and Helt Township. We share the fire departments. Good Hope is a town of 400 people. It's dying. It's dying, okay? I used to work at the Dana Bank. The Dana Bank is no longer. The grocery store burnt down. Everything is going. I've been in Vermillion County since January of 1993. I have not seen anything substantial in the line of jobs. I've not seen anything in the line of progress. I've seen the population age, and I've watched our graduates who have gone on to college go away and not come back. Well, when I was back home, my family are farmers, all right? We have ground. And I talked to my uncle, I talked to my cousins, and they were part of the wind farm. I last week heard some gentleman tell me how he had to put blinds on his windows because of the lights, that they had to pull the blackouts. Well, guys, guess what? My family urged the farmers to maintain or retain an attorney to gather their interests, make sure that everything is approached. But then on the flip side, they also, their board, equivalent to our APC, they urged to retain somebody of experience to help you draft things, because now they are able to benefit from what's about to happen. Yes, there is noise. There's not a lot of noise. I have recordings. I have a recording of where the towers were off. A jet goes by. By the time I move my phone down, the lights are on. 30 minutes later, the lights are off. Well, that's a change in technology, people. Yes, what may have happened in another county may not be applicable to us, and we need to retain the right people, just like JP Ream said in the May meeting. We need to retain the right people to help our board advise. I wouldn't hire a bone and joint guy to work on my spine or my brain. I would hire a neurosurgeon. Why would you take that chance? We need to make sure that we have granted the best help possible, because I know these guys have lost sleep. There is no doubt, because I would lose sleep if I was in their shoes. But in order to get the best information and the most accurate information that's up to date on these windmills, we need to have someone with credible sources. With that being said, I'm looking at it from an economic impact. If we have the right setbacks and we're able to get the right negotiations, we're able to address the farmers' concerns. You know, I looked at, have you Googled what your Wi-Fi in your house does? Do you know that it causes sleep deprivation, learning issues? There are more things in this world than what a wind turbine can cause. Okay, the transmission, the overhead lines that go by, go through some family property that we have here. I've not noticed myself stuttering. I'm a nervous wreck right now because I see a lot of eyes looking at me. But I want to make sure that we make an informed decision. You know, Terre Haute just lost the casino. All right. I remember voting whether or not there's going to be a hotel coming up in Covington because Danville's trying to get a gaming casino up there. What do we have? We've got Duke, who's going to shut down their coal gasification plant, and we're not going to have any income. The ESG is what businesses are working with now. We need to get more businesses in, and the only way they're going to do that is when they can buy alternative sources of energy. All right? If we don't get those businesses in, our kiddos, Dominic, Lori, your grandkids, the grandkids of many others, they're not going to stay because there's not going to be any jobs. So South Vermillion was ahead of the game with COVID. They already had their e-learning set up. Why can Vermillion County not be ahead of the game when the time comes and businesses are looking for counties with alternative energy to provide jobs that we so desperately need? Because I'll tell you, I'm tired of driving by Eli Lilly and watching them bus 2 buses in because we don't have qualified labor. Once that's gone, Elanco and Duke have it on their websites that they are looking for alternative sources of energy. We need to get there. Thank you guys for your time.
Thank you, Chris. One thing Chris did mention was about the lights that only come on, they're radar activated. We looked into it and talked to some small pilots, small plane pilots, I guess is the correct terminology. Maybe they're short, I don't know. But the small planes don't activate the lights. So that would not be an option for Vermillion County because we have people who live in the county that do fly the small planes. So that would not be an option. But we did look into it when we first started this process. So who else would like to speak? Hey, it's hot, I can go home. All right, Jason?
My name is Jason Uplinger. I do live in Vermillion County, and I'm opposed to the wind turbines. And I don't really need 5 minutes up here. I ain't got a lot to say. I will say that I've not heard anything good about these things. I mean, I've heard that by the time they produce enough electricity to even pay for themselves, they're wore out, and they can't be recycled. And it's just, I've never heard a good argument for these things, and it just seems like you're pandering to people who want an alternative source of energy because they don't like coal or whatever. I mean, it seems like pandering to me. There's not any good argument in favor of the wind turbines that I've ever heard.
Thank you, Jason. Yep, Tammy, come on up.
Hi, I'm Tammy Hinkle. I'm from Vermillion County. I am in support of the renewable energy in Vermillion County. I feel our county is so fortunate to be looked at for this opportunity. Sorry, I'm not a public speaker. That's why I wrote this down tonight. I'm not good at talking. All right. I am one who considers myself to have my glass half full and completely open to change and progress in our community. We live on a small farm, and if I looked out my window and could see a turbine on my property or my neighbor's property, I would see it as hope. Hope for our children and our grandchildren's future. I find them very relaxing and peaceful to look at. I have good family memories on the farm, and seeing a turbine can't take those memories away. I have been up close to them, actually standing right underneath them, and they are not loud. As a matter of fact, I couldn't hear a noise at all. I spent 10 days just observing, you know. I'm excited for everyone in the county as it will help with property taxes and is an excellent source of energy, a source we will need in the future. The bonus. When the skilled engineers come into the area to work, they will rent your houses, buy your gas, shop in your stores, eat at your restaurants. They will work hard. They work hard and they don't have time to travel to do these things. They do support the local business. My husband Steve worked for 9 years in renewable energy and has seen everything up close and personal. When these projects are finished, the properties are left in better shape than when they started. I was on one of the wind farms and I couldn't believe all of the animals that were roaming around, and I most definitely saw that it didn't hurt the hunting on the farms. Does a wind farm divide a community? Only if we are the type of people that would let that happen. I don't think we are that type. It is okay to differ on opinions, but be kind and keep your glass half full. Steve would have local citizens and landowners with concerns. He would talk to them and explain the facts about their concerns. It would ease their minds from the hearsay. There will be false information. Do your research and question of what you're wanting to know. We are very thankful for IEA White Construction as they have started out as a small company working hard to build their company. They employ and help with so many things in our community. Let's be grateful, not envious, of what they have worked hard for. Thank you for your efforts of educating and sharing great information on renewable energy. Steve and I are retired and plan on living our life out here in Vermillion County, and it excites me to think our county could be a part of this growth. A huge thank you to the board for working so hard to put an ordinance into place to make this a possibility. 20 years ago, my father-in-law told me that the wind turbines are a future source of energy, and I really wish that he could be here today to see what's happening in our country. He would be amazed. And again, we strongly support renewable energy coming to our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Tammy. Anyone else? Or let's just go, who wants to go next? All right.
Good evening, I'm John Kraft. I live in Edgar County, Illinois. I was at the last meeting, I think it was last week. Somebody mentioned that people get paid to come here and speak against wind turbines. I would be willing to swear under oath that I do not get paid to come here and speak against wind turbines. And I would bet nobody gets paid to come here and speak against wind turbines. But I do know, with documented evidence, signed by the Vice President of Relight and Meridian Energy, LLC, and I heard, I believe, another person talking about Apex with a similar agreement. This agreement here was in Logan County, Illinois. It was geared towards a school district. They promised to pay the school district $12 million. And the school district was going to approve that until they read the agreement. So in exchange for a monetary payment, the school district, and I'll read from it, in consideration of support payments described herein, the school board agrees to participate in the following actions in support and in favor of the project. Where I'm going here is when you have public officials, public bodies, and even private individuals speaking in favor or against something, you should maybe ask them if they're getting reimbursed or paid, or if they have a signed contract. I can swear under oath I have no signed contract. I do not get paid to come up here and speak.
Hey, can you speak into the mic? We can't hear you back here.
Section 9A of the contract, issuance of a board resolution for presentment to the county board expressing the school district's support and favor for the project. Section B, one or more representatives, being the superintendent or president of the school board, to speak in support and in favor of the project at any and all public meetings held with respect to the project. Issuance of press releases in form and substance mutually agreed to by Vermillion and the school district, expressing the school district's support and favor of the project. As recognized that school board may take official action expressing public support, and the agreement will not bind individual school board members who may have differing opinions. However, they cannot express their individual comments made in any official capacity and not presented at the same time as the school board's expression of support or in favor of the project. So when you go to a meeting, some of your school board members say, hey, I'm in favor of it, here's why. But people not in favor of it, according to this contract, are prohibited from saying why they're not in favor of it. They shall not make any claims or institute any suits or become party in any suit against Vermillion or the project. They shall not pass any local law, ordinance, or regulation which shall attempt to regulate or otherwise limit the project. This is for 25 years. In Illinois, school boards are elected every 4 years. That's 4, 8, 16, 20, 24. That's 10 school board elections, 11, where the school board members are prohibited from speaking against wind turbines, no matter how bad they get it. And I'll repeat once again, I will swear under oath that I do not get paid. Does anybody here get paid to speak against wind turbines? Nobody raised their hand. I didn't think so. I do not get paid to speak against them. Would you like a copy of this contract? Sure. There's an article I wrote, a couple pages, and then the contract is there. It starts on the
All right, who else would like to speak? And also, I want to thank everyone for coming out tonight. We did not know the AC was out till we got here, so sorry it's so warm in here, but I do appreciate everyone coming out to share their concerns and thoughts. Appreciate it. So who would like to speak next? All right.
No.
making sure.
Good afternoon. My name is Ted Harkey. I used to live in Vermillion County, Illinois, and now I live in Champaign County. And a couple months ago, I came to Vermillion County, Indiana, and gave some background information about what happened to my family. It was 11 years ago. I was very, very, very much pro-wind. And wind turbines came to my house. I was a surveyor, and I did a bunch of work in the preparation of the project. I thought that, I never got a turbine lease or anything like that, but a lot of my neighbors did, and I thought that was great. And I was pro-wind throughout the entire construction of the whole job. Even though the roads were tore up and it was dusty and it was bad, I was still in favor of it. You know, construction's a mess and we can get through that. I'm used to that. But then they turned them on, and 11 months later, almost 12 months later, my wife and I packed up our belongings and we left our house. And it was because we had a year of severe sleep deprivation from turbine noise. The distances from our house was 1,665 feet and 2,225 feet away. I've been very outspoken about this. I have never been paid by anybody to speak against. Invenergy offered my wife and I $58,000 to try to insulate and noise-proof our house, and we never responded to that offer because it was way too low and was not going to fix our problem with the subwoofer type noise, which thumped and kept us up at night. I did the same thing that a lady said today. They went and visited a turbine. I bet you that they visited the turbine during the daytime, because I did the same thing in Bloomington, Illinois, before ours was built. I thought we had nothing to worry about. And I thought that up until they turned them on and we were trying to sleep in our beds. What I'm telling you is really real, and it really happened. After we left our house, we lived in a double-wide trailer for a year and a half. Is my time up? We lived in a double-wide trailer for a year and a half. We found another house. We moved there. Another year and a half went, and my house set in the wind farm finally sold. It took 3 years, and it finally did sell. My wife and I took a bath on it, probably in the magnitude of $100,000. Since then, and currently right now, I'm living in a rental again because my wife and I are building another home. So for 11 years, we've moved, 4 times back and forth, and people think I'm just have a personal vendetta or whatever. No, I don't. What happened to me is done and over with, but I want to tell you the noise is really real. So if you guys are putting some rules in place, you need to make sure the maximum noise level is 39 dBA. 39, that's the maximum noise level you should allow. Because at 40 dBA, that begins sleep disturbance and sleep deprivation. Okay? I can provide all the evidence you guys need to support that fact in your new ordinance. If any wind company wants to file a lawsuit and say that's not reliable information, I can certainly back it up and make you, maybe not bulletproof, but certainly in a court of law, it would stand up and give you enough evidence to rely upon, and a wind company will not be able to overcome it. Thank you for letting me speak, and I'd be glad to tell you way more about it than I have to tell you in 5 minutes. Have a good night.
Thank you, Ted. All right. Who's next? I think he's sneaking out. I don't think he's sneaking up here to talk. Teresa, you want to finish your list? Oh, wait a minute. I've got somebody coming. Hold on. Make sure you speak in the microphone.
Hello, my name is Jeff Oldham. I live 3 miles south of Dana here. A lot of people are getting up. I hate public speaking too, so. A lot of people are getting up here and say they live in Vermillion County. This isn't going to affect everyone in Vermillion County. I live on a wide open prairie, and I've seen a proposed map of these sites, and I know that's all based on the premise of the landowners or all the agreements that got to take place. But I can see the smokestacks at Q. So I know I'm going to see a lot of these windmills. I don't want to look at that. And I think if the purpose of this meeting tonight is to get a feel for the community on whether they're in favor or against, I want you to take into consideration that it's who it's going to affect. It's not going to affect everyone in Vermillion County. The view, the site. And I think it boils down to also, whether you're in favor or against, it boils down to money. And I get that. I respect both, anybody's view of either way. If you have land, there's money to be made. I get that. I'm fine with that. I don't have land, but I do have a home. And I've got money to lose if my property value goes down. And I don't want that. So, like I said, I see a lot of people here tonight that they own land in Vermillion County, but they either don't live here or they live in town. And I think that needs to be taken into consideration. And if it's the job of our elected officials to come up with an ordinance, I, as a registered voter, urge our elected leaders to make it as strict and as possible to protect everyone in this county. So, thank you very much.
Thank you, Jeff.
I had about 5 seconds. Could I use them real quick?
5 seconds. I got my timer going. Okay.
I don't know if it's hard to take notes. What I said necessarily against it was protections you need to have. If you'd like to read what I said, it will be on a Facebook page, the Dawn Coyote. That's D-A-W-N, Coyote, Dawn Coyote. And what I read will be there. So it wasn't necessarily against it. It said the protections you need. So if you want to check it out, that's where it is.
Okay. Nancy's ready. All right.
Hi, I'm Nancy Folds. I do not live in Vermillion County. I am a landowner of Vermillion County. In the mic, Nancy.
Sorry. Okay, there, better? Okay. So, hi, I'm Nancy Folds. This is my husband Tim down here. Tim's lived his entire life until 5 years ago in Vermillion County. I lived here for 25 years. We raised our 2 children here, just south, down near St. Bernice. We started supporting renewable energy over 10 years ago when we installed solar panels on our garage to help power our farmhouse. Tim never intended to leave Vermillion County, and leaving the family farm was one of the hardest things he ever did. He left because of his disability, and he was no longer able to farm. And in order to not look at that every day, the farm, and know he was limited and couldn't farm, we chose to move to Park County. We may not be residents, and we may not get to vote, but there's something you should know. In 2021, our farm located in Vermillion County paid over $50,000 in property taxes. We do care about the economic future of this county. We do care about the education system in Vermillion County, and we currently support various organizations in this community. Opportunities for growth in rural communities don't come along very often, but on several occasions over the last few years, the APC and the 3 commissioners have voted down opportunities for this community. They set up hurdles that either the companies can't or won't overcome, and they leave the community to go elsewhere. Our children both told us in middle school at age 10 that they planned never to live in Vermillion County. They said there was nowhere for them to work. They wanted children to have the opportunities, and they wanted to have a better education than they even had. According to census.gov, the population of Vermillion County has gone down 4.4% in the last 10 years. That's about 700 residents who have left the county, passed, and no one's moved back in. At that rate, by 2100, at the beginning of the next century, we will have lost 5,500 people in the community. Your population will be about 10,000 people. At that point, what kind of future do you want to leave for your grandchildren and great-grandchildren? One where 10,000 people are paying for all of the support, the infrastructure, and the education, or one where businesses are alive and thriving? Apex Clean Energy from Charlottesville, Virginia is known for coming into areas and bringing an influx of jobs to build the wind farms. They're a U.S.
company who invests in the wind and solar communities by giving long-term support to help with education and other county needs. Solar and wind are not the final answer, but they are a part of the solution. Duke Energy has announced they will shut down their generating station in this decade. Where will your energy come from? Vermillion County or some other county that did accept the opportunity? Apex will build wind and solar fields. Do you want your county to profit from those or not? Renewable energy is here to stay. Do you remember a few years ago where the ethanol plants were coming in? Vermillion County had the opportunity to build one, and they did not. Cloverdale did. They have income from that ethanol site today. And I guarantee you that every one of you in your gas tank today is some percentage of ethanol. Yes, there will be families who make money off of this wind and solar farms, but the county can make money too. If the county makes money, that means improvement throughout the county. Schools, libraries, roads, fire departments, police, everyone will benefit. Growth and prosperity are the future of this county. Without it, your children, like mine, will continue to move away for better jobs and lives, and the population will continue to diminish. My kids' future, my future, and my family's future is not dependent on the wind farm. If they build a windmill, so be it. It's very unlikely to be put on any of our properties. But my family is going to be fine. We can pay our taxes. We can pay the increase in the taxes. What I'd ask you is, what position is your family in? And what can the commissioners and the APC do to change that? One more. I respectfully suggest that you say no to Apex. You really know, because you don't know when the next opportunity will come. And to the members of the APC, even though the commissioners don't support wind, I encourage you to educate yourself on the science of wind farms and work with Apex to allow them to develop wind and solar.
That's okay. Thank you, Nancy. And we have studied, we have researched. Bob will tell you later, maybe, about it. We have been spending a lot of time on this. So who's going to speak next? Might as well get it over with. Use the mic, Tim. I will. Okay.
Most of you probably know me. I'm Tim Foltz. My father was Don Foltz. Many remember him, many may not. If you knew my father, he could be rough and a gruff guy, but the one thing he believed most in life is to improve the current circumstances around you. Not just for himself, but for the good of the community. He was the first in his family to go to college, which was unusual for a farm family son, and worked every day to better himself and those around him. After the Korean War, he came, oops, lost it. No, there I do. After the Korean War, he came home and worked for Purdue Extension in the DNR and was in the House of Representatives. He always taught me to look forward towards the future and how to better myself and my community. I was an Eagle Scout and a 10-year 4-H member for that very reason. Anyway, the point of sharing all that information is to lead to my next point. My father helped acquire land for State Road 63, the four-lane 63, and also for Raccoon Lake. It's a flood control reservoir. By thinking ahead and considering what wasn't necessarily his own interest, but what was the interest for the county and state, he was able to help move the community forward. Can you imagine today not having State Road 63 to drive on? I can't. Many houses would have been lost to floods downstream of Raccoon Lake if that was not here. I'd like to encourage
the APC and commissioners, as civil servants, to not only think of their own interest, but what is best for the county as a whole. We need jobs, we need growth, and the only way to accomplish that is through a vision for what the country or county could one day be, because status quo will not work any longer. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim.
Yep.
Tim don't shake. Tim don't shake, he just stood up there and talked.
I didn't get shot, I got a dry mouth, I needed water. You couldn't tell. Couldn't talk.
I don't know most of you. My name is Shirley Downs, but a lot of you will know my husband, Gerald. And we love this county. He grew up in the house that we're living in right now. We got married. We lived in another home for 37 years, and we're back home at the farm. APC board has been working very hard at this, and I do appreciate it. Starting off with the first part of your draft, 1.1 purpose and scope. A, as you read, Bob, to protect residential areas and neighboring properties from any potential adverse or noise impacts of wind turbine generators or related devices. And B says, provide for a land use that will provide an energy source with associated environment impacts, protect natural resources, protect agriculture economy, and protect the health, safety, and welfare of Vermillion County residents. At the last original APC meeting at the courthouse, I read what the Health Nuisance of Indiana says. You can find it on the website, Indiana. But to state what the a health nuisance, it says, a person shall not institute, permit, or maintain any condition that may transmit, generate, or promote disease. Wind turbines have already been proven that they cause heart issues, they cause migraines, they cause other issues. A health officer, upon hearing the existence of such unlawful conditions within the officer's jurisdiction, shall order the abatement of those conditions. The order must be in written if demanded, specify the conditions that may transmit disease, and name the shortest reasonable time for abatement. It goes on to say that if it's not carried through, then the health department will come and look at it. My point I want to make on this, if the APC is really considering the health and welfare of Vermillion County residents, then on our setbacks, I'm so thankful you give a mile to the school. And I'm so thankful that you give a mile to the platted communities. But I wish that you would give a mile to the residents that are out in the country. It's not our choice that they decide to bring these in. Our health should count just as much. Also, I wish that you would add the 12.5, the diameter, into the setback. Instead of 3,000 feet, make it a mile. Please consider the health of us. On page 4, that's what I was talking about, the mile. D on page 4, maximum noise levels. Any proposed wind turbine or generator shall produce sound levels that are no more. Then you're giving us a choice of 50 and 32. Please give us the 32. Because the World Health Organization already says that 45 is damaging to the health. On page 5, said you're going to have somebody do the sounds, including seasonal variations. I forgot my phone. I have sound. I've recorded the wind turbines up in Williamsport. They are not quiet. And in the wintertime, they're even louder. So for those of you that say I can stand underneath it, I believe you 100%. You're standing underneath it. But when you get out and you're at a loudspeaker, you've got the sound forcing out at you. The people on the other end of that farm, that's the one it's going to be coming to. The health issues, not just the sound, but you're talking about the decibels also. Please consider the inside of the home, the infrasound that comes into the home, and not just the outside decibels. Let's see, on page 7, K, non-essential services. Wind turbine generation from meteorological testing towers shall be regulated and permitted pursuant to the article of zoning ordinance and shall not be regulated or permitted as an essential service, public utility, or private utility. These are not essential. I don't know a lot of you. Some of you have grown up in Vermillion County. I don't know who spoke, but the ones here in Dana and along this line and south of Dana, you all say it affects the whole county. It's the money, it affects the whole county. I'm talking about the lives of the people that live here. I'm talking about the health of the people here. I don't care what it looks like. I don't. I care about my husband's health. He's already got health issues. Why exacerbate them? I hate going against my neighbors. I do, because I love you guys. And I feel like I hurt you, and I don't intend to.
Thank you, Shirley. Hold on, I got a young man coming. Are you coming up, sir? All right. Talk in the mic. All right.
Hi, for those of you that don't know, I'm Dominic Hansen. I'm a sophomore at South Vermillion, and I am pro-wind. And I want to talk to you about a study that consists of 25 separate studies.
Lean right into it. Get it, lean into it.
In a study that consisted of 25 reviews, told that living near or having a turbine causes any sickness or side effects. For those who have heard it, is false. It is not due to turbines, but rather to a mental mindset known as the nocebo effect, also similar to the placebo effect. There we go.
Start over.
Oh, jeez. So in this study, it's 25 separate studies combined into one, and it talks about the health effects or side effects of wind turbines in your house, such as the noise and insomnia and stuff like that. And it is rather not the wind turbines that cause the effect, but a mindset known as the nocebo effect, also similar to some of you might have heard the placebo effect. And that basically says, those of you that have a positive expectation will usually see the positive outcome. So like if you're, for an example, for a test, they'll do like a sugar pill. They'll give you a medicine to help you with something, and then they'll give you a sugar pill that does nothing. And some people that get the sugar pill will say, oh, it helped me a lot, I got through it better. And the same mindset goes for wind turbines. You have like a negative view on it, and you're like, man, it made me really dizzy and sick. Well, that could just be another type of sickness, or just your body and mind reacting to it. So, in conclusion, wind turbines have no negative effect on your health, based on my research. And coming from South Vermillion, I'm not used to speaking to a crowd like this. I'm used to teenagers that just do this when I talk, and I'm like, okay. But, thanks. And I just want to see this county grow. I mean, if it doesn't, I don't know if I'll work here or live here. I just want good job opportunities and good well-being for this county, and thank you.
Thank you, Dominic. Commissioner Wilson is here, or Commissioner Wilson, oh my gosh. I'm fired, okay, y'all. There's an executive position open at the zoning office starting tomorrow. Commissioner Yoakum is here, if anyone would like to speak to him after the meeting, or after we get through here. And I have someone in the back here that would like to speak. Come on up. So I'm looking for work.
See, y'all can jump.
My name's Arnold Jenkins, and I live in Vermillion County. But one thing I think we should all remember, it is about our economic development here in this county. And for years, we've been based with Cayuga Generating Station, Wabash River, Merrim, Gibson Station, all coal-fired fossil fuel units. But we've got a transmission system that really is set up to control several thousand megawatts. But we know that with the fossil fuel and the CO2 restrictions, that these power plants, these coal power plants, are all going to be affected and are going to have to reduce load to some degree because of their CO2 emissions. And there's nothing really to replace that. You don't have any CO2 capture opportunities yet. And really the only way to replace that fossil fuel is either going to be with nuclear or with these renewables such as the wind and the solar power. And I find it interesting, you know, Illinois's got 11 nuclear reactors. The Clinton facility is just a little over 100 miles away. We don't have any nuclear reactors. So, but I do know we are going to have to reduce our CO2 emissions. And really, with the grid that we've got in place throughout the western side of this state, it's really an opportunity for us. And, you know, I would drive up by Byron Station a lot, and there's a lot of impact with cooling towers and things like that. When I hear people talking about, you know, the noise and things like that, you know, I know up at the Cayuga Station, you know, you have a potential of 85 decibels, you know, when you're walking around the facility at some places. So when I hear, you know, these turbines putting out 30-some decibels, I think the impact's probably not as great as we think. But I guess I look at this as they start shutting these coal-fired plants now, which they will. The CO2 limitation is real. They're going to start reducing your CO2 outputs by state due to this global warming. The greenhouse gases that are coming out of these facilities, even natural gas is less than the coal, but it still has restrictions on the amount of methane and the amount of CO2 that it can produce. So with this infrastructure we have, with the substations that have been in place, the transmission lines, we've got 345 kV, 230 kV, we've got a really good opportunity to generate power. And with these stations going down, you know, that's a part of our economy that we should look at and reevaluate. So that's really all I have to say.
All right, thank you, Arnold. Bill, you want to come back up?
Oh, I can go again? You didn't tell me that.
Bill Peebles, Vermillion County resident. So we talk about economic opportunity for the county. What is the economic opportunity for the county? Construction? Where are those people going to come from that are going to build these? Are they going to come from Vermillion County? Maybe a few. You know, maybe a few. Why?
Tax base.
Tax base?
Can you afford to keep paying more property taxes every year?
No, I don't want to pay more property taxes. Nobody in their right mind wants to pay more taxes on anything, right?
If they all go out, we will have to do this.
If they all go out where or what?
If all these plants and stuff go out, we lose the U.
No, he
was asking.
this is interactive. This is
Well, you guys do that after me.
Okay,
You have that
okay.
conversation.
I think everybody in here in this room needs to hear where my property taxes, you know, they are what they are, but no, I don't want to pay any more. I don't want to see the windmills. I've already stated that. long-term, what are the economic benefits to me? As I sit the last house north on 71 here in town, and I look out my dining room window when I sit down to eat, and there's 20 windmills sitting up there going round and round and round and flickering lights at night. Mrs. Downs, that would be the only thing I see between my house and your house is windmills. Thank you.
Thanks, Bill. And you guys are free to hang out afterwards, get some questions answered you'd like to ask or have answered. I've got a lady up here that's going to speak, and then I've got a couple of people now willing to speak. Okay, we're getting going. Now we're not shy. Get that mic.
Good evening, I'm Lisa Ellis. I live on the west side of Quaker, therefore I'm an Edgar County resident. Some of you might know our family also owns farm ground, pasture ground, and some of our family homes are in Vermillion County. I come to you tonight not representing the Edgar County Board. I wouldn't do that, but I represent myself and my information and my knowledge from the Edgar County Board, because we just passed an ordinance for wind. We're going to work on solar next, and I'm on both of those committees. But what we're missing here tonight is facts as far as how rich are you going to be if you have wind turbines. And I can't tell you for certain how rich we would be, but I can tell you that the wind farm in Edgar County is very similar in size to what is being proposed, as far as what I've heard, for Vermillion County. And our company, Orsted, that came to Edgar County, presented us with an estimated economic impact study. And that's what I want to share with you tonight, because I think we need some facts. But have you been presented with an economic impact study? Okay. So you have a similar document, which must be the way that these work. So that's solar, okay.
And then when else usually is impact.
An impact, okay. So I'm going to tell you what ours is, because it's, I'm going to say, probably similar to what yours would be. Ours was spread out over 30 years, and it gave a gross, and then it broke it out into the different taxing entities. So the largest year was about year 5, which was when it would be up and running, and it would be 2.5 million a year. That's total. From that, the breakdown included one school, Shiloh, which is over on the western side, and it would be 800,000 a year. The money that we would have for our Edgar County Board would be $363,000 a year. Now, I grant you, that's not a small amount of money, but it's also, when I hear all this tax money, get it in perspective. What we don't know, they aren't willing to put that in writing that that's what we're going to receive. That's what they say is the estimate. And in Illinois, we do have from the state some guidance from that and some rules that they have to follow. But what we don't know is, what is the impact on homes? Is that an increase or a decrease in value? And what is it for farm ground? Is it an increase or a decrease? And I will tell you that we just had 1,000 acres, a little over 1,000 acres, so 15,000 an acre. When we talk about growth and jobs, their estimate is 6 long-term jobs for maintenance. 6. And that's in writing, that's not my opinion. The thing that concerns me is, as far as writing an ordinance, is teeth. What kind of teeth can we put into an ordinance that they would have to follow? And how do we make them follow it? Because their pockets are so much deeper than our little counties. We have passed an ordinance so that we can now accept proposals. And I heard some good information here tonight on thinking about what we need to make sure that they provide when they give us a proposal. but my concern is teeth. If we say decibels, what do we do if they don't follow that? What if they are at 45 decibels? How are we going to make them follow that? And that is a real concern of mine. So I come to you as somebody who has a very great vested interest, but also we were just a little bit further along than what you are here. But I also greatly commend you for having 3 public meetings for people to express and ask questions. I commend you for being so forthright about what you're doing, and I wish you well in trying to get everybody's opinions, give them the thought and the respect that they need.
Lisa must have had a stopwatch up here because the timer just went off. Thank you, Lisa. Okay, you want to go next, sir? And again, I would like to say Mr. Yoakum is here, and also Commissioner Luther is now here. Afterwards, if someone would like to ask some questions.
Thank you. Good evening, I'm Doug Weisheidt. I live in Rockville, Indiana, though I serve as manager for Bono Farm LLC, which is a couple hundred acres that our family has owned for over 100 years. My concern as we look at the proposed document I'm reading is under section 1.3, the general requirements, item B, section C, under item 2, where it says basically that the setback will be approximately from a platted community of a municipality. And when I read that and or school, I want to make sure that indeed it is a platted community of a municipality and or school, and not it is or is not just a platted community, because Bono is a platted community. And so the descendants of the trust that are the beneficiaries of the trustee that I represent as manager are asking basically the way this is written that Bono would not be affected, whereas folks in our greater communities that has a municipality, as in Dana and St. Bernice, would be. So that's our question from the beneficiaries of the trust, of the trustees of Bono Farm LLC.
Thank you, Doug. I see everyone jotting down. That is something that we will research and have an answer for at our next regularly scheduled meeting, which will be July the 8th at the Vermillion County Courthouse in the Commissioner's Courtroom, beginning at 6 o'clock. Again, the public is welcome to attend. Who's next? Wait, I've got this gentleman, right? You? Okay.
I'll be quick.
Okay.
Hello, my name is Paul Jackson. I'm with Benton County, Indiana. We're the ones that started the whole wind thing. So some of you, sorry. The others, pretty good. Currently, right now, we have over 650 turbines in the county. They generate an awful lot of revenue for us. I am the Economic Development Director, so when you ask the question, what does it do for you economically, I can tell you exactly what it does for you economically.
Got the floor.
Thank you. I've heard that increases, assessed values in your houses are going to drop dramatically. They don't. They don't. They've gone up in the past several years so far. They average probably 3% every year, going up. In the last 2-3 years, it's been 6.8%, 6.82%. We've had 140 new homes built since 2007 when we first started this. As far as tax dollar goes, we have had, since 2009 through 2021, a total of $31,217,000 blah, blah, blah dollars. The economic development money that's been put towards, in lieu of tax abatements, we've had a total of $26 million. The way our county spread that out was we spread it out so we only get so much every year from, we have seven different contracts, 7 different farms. So each farm that we did it in a separate way, so we're not going to get economic development money for like the last ones we just did in Jordan Creek until they will end in 2038. So we have a certain amount of money coming in every year. We have given, with that economic development money, we've given $3 million to the school court. We've given, well, we've turned all of our EMTs. We don't have, in Benton County, we do not have a hospital. We don't even have a doctor. That's probably my fault, sorry. But I need to get somebody in there. We had EMTs when we first started this. With the money that we've done with this, we've actually trained them, and we now have paramedics. We have a full staff of paramedics throughout the entire county. We've upgraded emergency vehicles, your fire trucks, your ambulances. We have advanced life support now. Probably the biggest thing that I have going on right now is we have a $6.2 million project to get fiber optics run through about 75% of the population in the county right now. Out of our buy-in, we went through the next level grant process through the state. They paid for an awful lot of it. The company that we're dealing with paid for an awful lot of it. $1 million came out of our pocket and we cut a check. It was through wind. So we will have over gig speed of internet by the end of this year for 75% of the population. So that's all I got. Tax values did go down dramatically too.
Thank you, Paul. All right, who's next? Okay, my nurse is coming. I told her I wouldn't say that she's a nurse tonight, but she's a nurse. So. I know. Got the vapors.
Hi, my name is Megan Williamson. I've been a lifelong resident of Vermillion County. I, as a resident, just want to make sure that we're protected. I've been to a lot of these meetings. I know a lot of you guys are familiar with my face by now. But I do ask that the setbacks that are proposed in the ordinance be at least 3,000 feet, if not further. Several people have done lots of research, the setbacks being at least 3,250 feet being safe for most. That's not all, but for most. So I do ask that our properties be protected with that setback. I do keep hearing things about money, and I do understand the importance of that in the growth for our county, but I'm not certain that a wind farm is the answer for that. To me, it's a double-edged sword. It might bring money, but it'll also drive people out. I know I myself, if it would come near my house, I would consider selling it if I could get that value back. I don't know that. And I do see too, I just don't see people coming. I know he said they did with their county, but I just don't see people coming and building right next to one of these. So yeah, they're saying we want to bring people back to Vermillion County. I don't see how this wind farm is going to do that. Like I said last week too, I'm kind of a broken record here. I just ask that with this ordinance that we strongly consider strict restrictions so that the people that aren't involved and aren't profiting from it are protected. Like I said before, I did the Apex online tutorial. They said we want to do this the way Vermillion County wants to do it. So if they want to do that the way we want to do it, then they need to follow this ordinance that is being worked on right now. If that's prohibiting them, like I said, it should be an outline of guidance for them. If it's prohibiting for them or that doesn't work, then they really didn't want to do it the way we wanted to do it in the first place. Thank you.
Thanks, Megan.
Okay. Hi, my name is Don Ruth. I live here in Vermillion County. Thank you all for coming. Appreciate it. I had the pleasure about a month ago. I was heading north on 71 on my bike, and my girlfriend on the back. And of all things, I scared up a bald eagle off the side of the road. The thing flew alongside of me, just above our heads, about 10 feet out. We went all the way up to the cemetery. We turned around, we came back, and we spooked it up again. It was on the side of the road, it was eating some roadkill. And So we got some video of it the second time. If you guys would like to see it, there are bald eagles right here in this area. That brings us to the problem. The way the La Brea tar pits were formed was the dead animals fell into the trap. The predators come in to clean up the mess. When you have windmills, birds get killed, they fall to the ground. It's going to draw eagles and the predators to come in. Now who, I'm asking you, I'm not accused, who is going to be responsible for killing a protected bird? If I went out and shot a bald eagle, I'd be going to jail. If I set up a snare or a trap that killed the bald eagle, I would be going to jail. The same thing for geese or ducks out of season. I'm a bird hunter. So that's my question. That's one thing I really think that needs to be addressed by this, because somebody should be held responsible for when this happens, and it's going to happen. There's no doubt. It's not if, it will happen. And that's what makes our county great, I think. That's why I moved here. I love the wildlife around here. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Don. Who'd like to speak next? Leonard, I'll catch you next. Okay. Okay. Move the mic. We're having trouble hearing you back.
Chris Faulkner. I'm a Vermillion County resident. Kind of had some stuff I wanted to say, but I forgot the paper in the house. But I am against the windmills. If you just drive up 63, take a trip up to Kentland, go get a sandwich or something, and it's really not something that I want to see in our county. It's quite the eyesore, and I've had a couple of friends of mine also talk about selling their house and moving out if this does pass through, and I can understand that it would negatively affect the value of your homes. Like I said, I mean, take the hour trip up to Kentland, turn around, come back, maybe, you know, daylight hitting it up there, come back in the evening while the lights are flashing, and I can understand, you know, if you did own a large tract of land, and this would bring a lot of money into your own personal pocket, but kind of like the other gentleman that you know has just one of the house or a square out of the corner of one of these large fields that a lot of people do. It's something that's going to directly affect them, and I don't really see the benefit they're in particularly going to get off of it. And I'm not really sure that something like this is really going to bring a lot of businesses into this county. I know that there's been a power plant that was proposed at the Vermillion County Rise that the county had turned down, and I know that would have been a 3 or 4 year job that would have, you know, brought, you know, 600, 700, 800, you know, jobs to the community. You know, I will agree that it wouldn't be all Vermillion County residents, but there's a lot of local trades that would have been put to work building that. And if we can attract that kind of business or that kind of company that would have a small footprint in this community, I think we could probably get attract another company to come in and do that. I know it's a little bit off subject, but I know it's some stuff a lot of people don't know, and you would be surprised how many people that I talk to that don't know that this is even going on, that these meetings are existing. You know, I would, you know, tell your neighbor, tell whoever. You know, I'd say there's a lot of people that, you know, are property owners that don't even know that this is something that's being proposed. So, like I said, I had a lot of other things to say. I'm not a public speaker by any means whatsoever, so I really kind of got the brain fog now, so I'm going to step off the stage. So.
Thank you, sir. I would like to follow that up with, we did run 3 large ads in the Clintonian. Well, I take that back. One ad, it changed each week, but we've ran it 6 times in the Clintonian, and I know the Clintonian doesn't have the circulation it used to. We also put it out on Facebook. At our last regular area plan meeting, I was asked to send a postcard to every resident that lived in Health and Vermillion Township. We started out with, what I ended up with, hold on, I've got a note. I ended up sending out 1,750 postcards in less than 3 days of notice. So I did work with the mapping company. I tried to eliminate duplicates, so if you guys, some of you got 2, sorry, but I did eliminate it. We started out with over 4,000 addresses. We were able to eliminate duplicate addresses. So we did our best to get the word out about these meetings and let everyone know, because that's what we want. We want the public's opinion, and that's about all we could do to get it out there. Social media, newspaper, and then through the U.S. mail. So. All right, Leonard, you next?
I guess nobody else.
Okay.
I'll give it a shot.
My name is Leonard Akers, lifetime resident of Vermillion County. Very happy and very proud to be. I want to thank the board for hosting these meetings. I think that's wonderful. That's democracy in action. I attended the first meeting in Clinton a couple of weeks ago or whatever it was. At that time, I didn't have the advantage of reading the ordinance. Since then, I've read the ordinance, and I think it's pretty obvious that there's been some attorneys helping you write that thing. And I think it's pretty airtight, really. I'm not saying that there's not room for improvement on it, but there is a lot of good stuff there. Maybe some of these other counties we've heard these horror stories from, maybe their attorneys wasn't quite as good. They didn't have as much experience behind that, but it looks to me like they've done their work here. As far as am I for it or am I against it, I have to lean for it. I believe in science. Doggone it, I just believe in science. I can't help myself. Now, I've heard some things. You can do your research on the internet. And that's probably the worst place that you can do your research, because you can find anything that you want to fit your bias. Whatever your bias is. If you're for it, well, you can find all kind of stuff for it. If you're against it, you can find all kind of stuff against it. I have been very close to wind turbines. I told you last week at a meeting in Clinton, over in eastern Illinois, around Newtown, where the 5th Inn bunch is. Got out of the car, parked the car, shut the engine off so it wouldn't have any other noise. I probably wasn't 75 yards or 50 yards from it. I didn't hear a thing, and neither did my wife. So as far as this noise factor is concerned, I don't know that that's a legitimate concern. And speaking of that, I live less than 600 feet from a railroad, and right behind my property, there's a marker for the train to blow the whistle. I've listened to that for 53 years, and it hasn't bothered me yet. I got used to it. I don't even notice it. After a while, you don't even notice it. So I think that noise level from that train is a lot louder than 39 decibels or 50 decibels or whatever. The ordinance is pretty well written. I think they might be going a little bit overboard with the distance requirement. I think that was their way. It was an effort being made to make it where it's almost impossible for them to build one here. Now, you put in a lot of protections for the property owner. You put in a heck of a lot of protections for the county. But when we're talking about protections, that's a three-way street. What about protections for the developer, for the builders and what have you? Let's just say hypothetically, everybody's happy, they prove they put one on the property there. Well, you have it now that if something goes wrong with it, they have to decommission it, completely tear it down, remove everything, no concrete, no nothing, remove the road. Well, let's say hypothetically they build one, everybody's happy on both sides. 5 years from now, that landowner decides, I want to build a new house over there, or my son's getting married, he can put a house over there. Less distant. You can't hold that power company responsible for what happened after the fact. So they need protection as well in that ordinance. They need protection as well. And as far as the concrete, if you did decommission one and take it out, perhaps that landowner might like to have that slab of concrete to build a pole barn on. So you can't just come out and say, well, you got to tear it down regardless. And same way with the road, building the road into the thing. Maybe that farmer or landowner has another use for that and says, I kind of like that road. I've got plans in the future for that. I'd like to have that. But on the other hand, if they don't, they don't. But if they do, they need protection as well. So I do think there needs to be some protection put in for the power companies as well. Thank you.
Gwen, you want to come up? I'll get you next, sir.
Hello there. My name is Wayne Jones. I live in Horseshoe. Does anybody know where Horseshoe is?
Talk loud, Gwen, so they can hear you.
Horseshoe? Anybody know where Horseshoe is?
We all know where
Out in
Horseshoe
America. Not really. I married into an Indiana family. First of all, back in the Clinton administration, they created, or the vice president, Gore, created this whole program of paying half of every wind tunnel, every windmill farm that goes in. Federal government pays that contractor half of everything that he uses, whatever it is. The second thing is, the government also pays to hook that whole thing up to the grid. That was done about 10 years ago. So the government's paying for most of it. The guy's going to keep it for 5 years, sell it to somebody else. They're going to go bankrupt within 5 years and sell it to somebody else. And they're going to do it all over again, somewhere else. Now, the question was, what about the eagles? This county is only 12 miles wide and 58 miles long. It's right along the Wabash River with all these eagles nesting everywhere since we got the DDT done. I called the ornithologist, the DNR, Department of Natural Resources ornithologist. She says that in Indiana, the eagle's not protected, but the federal government protects it. If they have a nest in the middle of the field where these are being put up, they can move it. Now, do you think your eagle's going to follow? I don't think so. It's just going to lose the eggs or the babies. This company hasn't even done the environmental review yet. That has to be done before they can even really apply. And how many people is going to gain? White Construction sold out to another outfit. They want to put them up. It doesn't take them very long. The ones they put up in the very northern tip of Warren County, north of here, and then run a power line, 6 power lines, right down to our power station. That was all paid for by the government. They went around all the houses that was on the road, but they went right by the high school and the grade school, within 100 yards of both. They didn't go around them. I tried to get that stopped, didn't get it done. If anybody wants the name of the ornithologist for the state of Indiana, the Department of Natural Resources, hold up your hand and I'll read it slow.
Read it for the record.
For the record, the ornithologist for the Department of Natural Resources is Allison, A-L-L-I-S-Y-N, Gillette, G-I-L-L-E-T, and her phone number is 812-822-3400. And she'll be glad to talk to you and tell you what she knows. I also have ABC, American Bird Conservatory, AmericanBirdConservationcy.com. They have hundreds and hundreds of things that's been going on for over 30 years, of how many birds these things kill. We will lose more than half of our eagle population. I live, as the crow flies, 3 miles from that gentleman a few minutes ago told you about the eagle nest on 71. We've been watching it for 3 years. This is third year, their third year. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Wynn. I've got a gentleman in the back coming up to speak. Make sure you get the mic, because you know you can't hear back there.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
Alrighty guys, my name is Ross Hurlow. I'm a resident of Vermillion County. I grew up here. I grew up just on Ernie Powell Road, and I worked at Dana Corner Stop for 4 years. I know most of the people here. And I had the same exact mindset that you guys do. At some point, you know, you gotta admit when you're being hard-headed. I work for IEA. I just got off my 8th project down in Texas. There's a lot of, and every single wind farm is the same way. There's always, they kill birds. I was out in a job in Washington State. There's actually a health specialist in environmental. His one job was just to check all the turbines for dead birds. Over a 6-month period of time when we were out there, he didn't find one. And these are all my experiences. There's always somebody who says that they affect livestock. I know livestock's not an area, a topic of concern here. That actually turns out a lot of people like having livestock with turbines because it gives them shade. And like I said, I used to be the same way you are, that they don't pay for themselves, that the government is paying for them. But that's just simply not the case. Per megawatt, per kilowatt hour, this is the future. And we could either get on this or let some opinions, and my opinions are my opinions. What you guys think is based on you. And I just have to say that White Construction provides a lot of extremely good jobs, and I'm thankful for that. I come home once a month, traveling for work, building these turbines. I've worked near them. They make a little noise, but nothing that I would ever perceive as being a health hazard or anything of that nature. It's just, the pros just outweigh the cons in my opinion. That's just my words of it. I want to give you my opinion. I grew up here, and this is my occupation now, so I am biased in some way, shape, or form. But it would be an asset to this community.
Thank you, Ross. Who else? Who else would like to speak this evening? Lewis. Use the mic, Lewis. Everybody's getting tired of me saying that, but I know sometimes it's hard to hear you. Stop that.
I'm Luke Gary from here in Dana. I've lived here for 50-some years. And I like the view I have out across the prairies. I think windmills are ugly, especially when you get 20 or 30 of them out there with the wind, the vanes flopping around all the time. It's not something I want to look at. I don't want to look at the lights, red lights flashing at night. I'm not an expert on wind turbines by any means. I know they make some noise. I don't know how much noise, but they're talking a 32, 39 dB limit. Well, I'm assuming that is per unit. If you've got 15 or 20 of them within a mile of your, well, it'd have to be a little more than a mile. But if you have 15 or 20 of them that you can hear all at one time, I think it's going to be well above the 39 dB threshold. Also, before I intended to say this before I started, I want to thank you gentlemen for the time you put in on this project, especially you, Mr. Alexander. I think you've been very fair to the people coming to the meetings. I appreciate the way you run the meetings. I just want to say that. And also for Benton County, I'm happy for you. But we're talking Vermillion County, not Benton County. We could use some money in the county, I'm sure, but how much money is going to be involved? In my opinion, not enough to overcome the detrimental effect of lights, noise, the wind flicker. I don't know how many of you are aware, it's hard to get any straight information from Apex. But I understand they're talking wind turbines that are 730 feet tall to the nacelle, and then another 100 plus feet for the blades. So they'll be over 800 feet in the air. You'll be able to see every one of them probably from day in the wintertime. Don't want to look at that. People in the southern part of the county, near the river, they won't ever see it. They're looking at the money. Money, quality of life. That's the two issues you got to decide. For me, I'll go for quality of life. I hope the APC agrees with that. The gentleman who was up here earlier said that you need to consider the wind developer in your ordinance. Well, the first page of your ordinance says you're supposed to look out for people of Vermillion County, their health and safety. It doesn't say anything about Apex or any other developer. I contend that you owe them nothing. I would urge the commission to move back toward the Kosciuszko, I hope that's right, county ordinance that you started with. The meetings that I have been to in Newport, you moved away from that and every change you made. I would respectfully ask you to go back toward that. And that's about all I have tonight. I thank you.
Thank you, Lewis. And I do want to thank everyone for sticking around. It's hotter than you know what in here, but and being polite and courtesy when whoever's at the podium, you're being quiet and listening. So who would like to speak next? Yes, sir.
Hello, can you hear me all right in the back? My name's Pat Sandstrom. I live over in Douglas County in Newman, Illinois. If you come out here at night, look west 30 miles, I'm in the red light district. I live there. I see it every day, every night. Do I have flicker every day? No. Do I have red lights every night? Yes. Is there noise? Not all the time, not 24/7, but there is noise. And it's not a mechanical noise like a grinding. It's more like a jet engine or like a whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Just constant. When you're trying to enjoy the property that you bought in the middle of the cornfield, that's what we have to deal with. I looked over the ordinance that you guys have set forward, and the biggest thing you need to do and push for is setbacks to property lines, not foundations of homes like we have. We have 80 acres behind our house. We are 2,330 feet from the closest wind tower, and in that 40 acres, if my son ever wants to build a house back there, he'll be closer to the windmill. That's not the windmill's fault. That is the county board for setting the ordinance like that, not giving me the same right as the guy who put the windmill up. So every property owner wants the same right. Make it fair to property lines. So if you decide you want to build anywhere on your property, you have that right to still have the setback from that windmill or solar farm, whatever you're going to do. You talk about jobs, you know, everybody loves jobs. We didn't see the kickback they talked about. They talked about community, talked about all the money that's going to come. I had fights with my neighbor, you know. It's not fun, but everybody can agree that everybody wants the same right to do whatever they want to with their land. So if you push for the setback to property lines and to keep it that way, because the way I read it, it's to property lines right now, right? Yes or no? Yeah, okay. Yeah, so if you guys keep it that way, I think that's going to be your best bet. I don't enjoy living around it, but I'm not going to move because that's our home. So if you got questions, let me know. I'll be over later. I did have a couple people in the community come over and look at the wind farm and see how close it was, and they weren't excited about it either. So thank you.
Thank you, Pat.
David Pollard, Vermillion County resident. I did go to Douglas County over the weekend. The noise is real. You know, those red lights flashing, they're real. You know, and I've heard this term bias passed around. I hate to use that. I want to say affected or unaffected. You know, I mean, everybody's going to feel something, you know, and it's us that are going to see those red lights flashing all night long. It's us that are going to hear that. It's us that are going to have to worry about our wells. You know, it's not good. And I just urge the commission to make these setbacks, you know, let's err on the side of caution. You know, because once these things are planted, they're planted, you know. Let's push them back. Let's keep them away from our properties, you know. Let's help the county, you know. Help the people. That's all I got.
Thank you, David. Travis, you up? You up? Yeah.
Good evening. My name is Travis Newman. Lived in Vermillion County probably my whole life. Just a little bit of time I spent outside of the county. Bob here could probably tell you how I got there. But I will move on. What I just handed the commission is the front page of Montgomery County's wind ordinance. Last meeting I brought up I covered what agriculture is. Agriculture is the science, art, and business of cultivating soil, producing crops, and raising livestock, farming. That's what agriculture is. And that's where we're proposing to put industrial wind turbines. It doesn't fit. That's what I stated last meeting. I still don't see how it fits. Right here in Montgomery County's ordinance, all wind farms, large wind turbines, and WECs, and all related devices and structures are only allowed if a special exception is granted by the Board of Zoning Appeals, as provided for in Article 4, are subject to all the standards and requirements of this article and only allowed in industrial districts. That's what we have here is an industrial wind turbine. What are we planting in agriculture? We're not planting turbines. They're not agriculture. It's a simple definition. So I urge the commission to look at that, and if they need a full copy of this, you can get a hold of John Fry in Montgomery County. He'd be more than happy to get anybody a copy of this. This is their ordinance, and it will have a lot of good content for us to consider as we move forward in this process. I also visited over in Douglas County. I saw firsthand, I took the time. The sound is real, the lights blink, the flicker's real. I went and I didn't talk to just any one person. I talked to several people, and I did the fact checking, talked to random people in the community. I talked to farmers, landowners, county board member, small business owners, and they corroborate what these folks from Illinois have brought here to this room and to Clinton. Nobody's paying them, and they'll swear an oath that they are not being paid. So I ran into a gentleman over in Park County, and he told me about the lights flicking. And he told me, well, why can't you just shut your eyes? You know what that is? Shut your eyes. That's like turning a blind eye. You see something wrong, and you just want to turn a blind eye. And you don't want to face what it is and what's driving this. So what moral code teaches us to turn a blind eye when we see something wrong? So what this is, I'll get deeper into it. What we have here is a dispute and a conflict between populism, and I'll get you the definition of that, the political approach that strives to appeal to ordinary people who feel that their concerns are disregarded by the established elite groups, versus plutocracy, government by the wealthy. So whose interests are we going to protect in Vermillion County? Are we going to protect the people who really care, or are we going to go on about the economic impact? And I'll let the economic people break down the numbers and do all that, but it's the social impact that we should really be concerned about. So, populism, it has to do with the heartland. If you look into it and study it, it's about the folks, and it's about the heart. And here we are, and it's versus plutocracy. So I'm just going to urge everyone here, no matter what side you're on, to contact your commissioners, call them, write letters, express to them how you feel. Number two, we've got a petition circulating, and I'd like everyone to consider looking at it and consider those. It's all about setbacks and all the considerations in town and all the issues. We got 6 points on it. And the third thing, continue attending these meetings so that we can get this the best for the county, not the best for something else. But yes, it needs to be brought to the light. A lot of talk, they talk about the leases. Nobody can see it. We can't get it redacted. Can't get any lease. Everything's done in the dark, and we just want to bring some stuff to the light. Thank you.
Thank you, Travis. All right, are we ready to wrap up? We still have some more people. Yes, ma'am.
Must have found my courage.
Okay.
See how far it goes.
It'll be fine. Just pull that mic down.
My name's Nancy Allen. I also live in Douglas County. I'm only going to speak about my truth and what we live. My husband Jim was the mayor of Newman. He is now retired from that position just recently. We tried to work with EDPR, who is the group that we did, Energista Portugal, and also out of China. Once they found out we had a group, some like the red shirts that are here, we were also red shirts, we just didn't have printing on them. They were not happy with us. This coming into your town, to your two little restaurants, they said, oh, we're going to use your motels, your hotels. Have they been to Newman? It's 900 people. There are no hotels. There are no hotels. We have a pizza man and we have a corn pier, which is a pub and grill. So we thought, well, they'd go to Tuscola. Some of them did go to Tuscola. Most of them housed themselves in Champaign-Urbana. They did not eat. They were told not to come back into Newman once they found out the way the mayor and our group of people, they turned against our community. They didn't even stay in the Super 8 or the Holiday Inn East or the Comfort Inn over in Tuscola. They went anywhere but they could in Douglas County. They did not spend their money in Douglas County. Most of the employees, we had a few that were sort of local, which would have been the Broadlands area, Allerton, maybe some Tuscola. They came from Michigan, Wisconsin, Indiana, Missouri. They would go home on the weekends. This was during COVID, so they were in and out of our county lines all that time because they were essential workers. We did not have the, I commend you gentlemen, because we did not have that opportunity. Our county board kind of started this in 2009 with not a lot of information or publicization that they were doing this. The WEX ordinance that we have is 1,000 feet from the foundation of your home. That is what is set in place right now. But EDPR graciously moved it to 1,500 feet. We still do not have an unredacted copy of the safety manual. However, we do know the safety manual said if there's a catastrophic whatever happens with the turbines, you must stay back 1,640 plus feet. That is for the employees. So if your house is closer than that, they want their people to be safer. There's just so many things that they promised that they have not come through with. We have been in operation. They have been in operation for almost a year now, with them running before that. There has been no money to our fire departments. There has been no money to our schools. There has been no money to the libraries. Your municipality, your city, your village, whatever your little area is called, gets no money. They are not included in that windfall, supposedly, as you want to call it that. They do not tell you everything you need to know. As my husband said, you have to verify, you have to document. They are not as honest as they say they are. They are out to sell something. And the gentleman that talked about taxes paying half, the government paying, if the government is paying any part of it, that is your money. That is your money that they have taken. So they are not paying for it. Tax subsidies and anything else they can use. But you have to look at everything. We've had a lot of bat kills. We have had turkey vultures killed. And recently on the same website that my husband mentioned, Dawn Coyote, blue buntings. There have been other bird kills. We have golden eagles. We have a few eagles. We have a lot of things like that in Newman. There is no protection for them. They go in and clean it up before anybody gets there, only by the grace of a few farmers who are brave enough to travel down those little rock roads to the turbines that they're not supposed to be on. Even if they're farming that field, they have found these kills. So you need to see who you're working with, and you need to ask a lot of questions. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Nancy. Sir. Does anyone else have something they want to say? The gentleman's already spoken. He wants to speak again. Come on up, sir.
I haven't spoken.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That was last week.
That was, come on up.
If somebody wants to go ahead, that's fine.
Go ahead. You're closer. We're all hot. You're closer. Go.
Thank you. My name is Kirk Allen. I am from Edgar County. And I want to address a couple things of importance for those that aren't familiar with the whole process. You need an ordinance. Having an ordinance doesn't mean you support wind farms. You need an ordinance because if you don't have one, you're at the mercy of whatever agreement a landowner does with a wind farm company. Unless you've got some special zoning in Indiana I'm not familiar with, a landowner can pretty much do with his land what he wants. The wind ordinance is to protect the non-participating landowners. That's its intent. Because a landowner can waive all of the restrictions. They can do what they want on their property. So that's an important thing to understand. For those that are going to get a wind farm or a generator on their facility, I'm all for you doing what you want with your land. I beg of you to get an attorney. John and I formed the Edgar County Watchdogs in 2010. We're a local government accountability C4 nonprofit, and our goal is to be an arbiter of truth within units of government and how our public officials act and what they do and how they spend their money. I've been shocked at what we've uncovered in that 10 plus years. While attending a meeting in Vermillion County, Illinois, originally I was all pro-wind because I thought I might have one on my property. I didn't know much about them. I went to Vermillion County and I went to a county board meeting for an entirely different purpose. And I watched about a dozen people, maybe more, over a 2-month meeting period. I watched families walk to the podium just like this and tell their story. And I want those that have walked up to a turbine and you don't hear it or feel it, I want you to hear what they said. And you can go to our website, the video's up, it's probably still a video you can get from Vermillion County. I saw families in tears over what they were experiencing because of a policy adopted that didn't protect their rights. Now that doesn't mean wind's bad. It just means it has an impact on people. So you have to think about where you place it in that relationship. Because what happens when you do that placement, when you allow it to impact people's lives, and I said this at the last meeting, you will create division within your community, whether you like it or not. We've heard some people talk about that tonight. You have a neighbor that's for it, you're against it, and it creates a social divide that literally will split your community. And we've seen this in a lot of places we've been to. I'm not here to tell you, yay, go for it, don't go for it. I'm here to tell you, get an ordinance that protects you for those that don't want it, because your landowners can do what they want with their land. They can waive that right. In relation to property taxes, a lot of promises have been made. In Illinois, we have a law that outlines the tax assessment value per kilowatt of that generator. Our law sunsets December of this year, and it has not been renewed by our legislature. You know what that means? If they don't do their job in Springfield, there's no more tax revenue off of the wind farms in the state of Illinois. There is no commercial wind farm resolution for solar. So there's all kinds of things to look at. The other thing we have not identified, and we have searched, and we have FOIA'd more records than you can shake a stick at, we have not found where people's actual property tax bill goes down, because part of the argument is you're going to have all this tax money coming from wind farms, and we're going to reduce your taxes. We've not found that yet. We have found they find a way to spend it, and your tax stays the same or continues to go up as your property values go up. But in that regard, the records we've FOIA'd in wind farm areas, the assessed values of those properties has not gone up. It's gone down. And we had an exposure in Vermillion County where we proved it with their own records after, I believe it was the assessor, said, no, that's not true. Well, his own records proved it was true. So there's assessment issues that come into play. There's a lot of questions that come into play. We heard people come up and speak. Now, I've always lived by this since I got out of the military. Says who with what proof? A lot of people say a lot of things. I'm saying a lot of things. I don't want you to believe me. I want you to prove me wrong. If you can prove me wrong, then you've educated yourself. Try to prove people wrong, and you find out whether or not what they say is true. We had speakers that came up here that had family ties to the construction company that builds wind farms. They spoke in favor of. We have people that work for the wind farms that spoke in favor. And I'll close with this. All too often, when we hear things and we don't challenge it, I sat right here in this chair and I listened to a man sitting next to Ted Hartke, who's become a close friend. A man sat and told this guy next to him, he lied to him and said, oh, he's one of those paid hacks. I'm here because I was asked to be here to share what I've experienced and uncovered. Ted Hartke is not a paid hack. He's the most upright man I think I've ever met dealing with any of these issues. His honesty and integrity is above reproach. I am not being paid, but if you can show me who pays you to speak against something, man, line me up. Those are called paid protesters, and I'm not one of them. But we do know, and we have proven, there are people being paid by wind farms to speak on their behalf. We've proven it with the contracts we've uncovered. Thank you.
Use the mic.
No.
Okay.
My name is Christopher Dowes. I lived in Vermillion County all my life, except for like 4 years living in Danville. I live in Newport, and I'm not very good at public speaking. But when I have to say something, I have to say it. Might sound stupid, might sound pretty smart. Why are we doing this to the town of Dana? Like, why them? Why they're the only ones affected by this? You can tell the town of Dana, we don't want this. But yet there's people from other towns going, yeah, this will bring in business. Really? This will bring in business? There's been a warehouse off of 63 that's been empty ever since they built it. That's supposed to bring in business. It's still empty. I know we need jobs, but we need manufacturing jobs. These are not being manufactured here in the States. They're being manufactured in China. 21 tons of raw material is made to make these windmills. And they're only up for 25 years. That is it. Once 25 years are up, done, they destroy them. They're gone. And they move to the next town. That's all I have to say about that.
Thank you. Anyone else?
name is Caleb Nichols. I'm a lifetime resident of Vermillion County, lived in Dana for 5 years. Lived about 4 blocks that way. My house is no longer there, but we lived out in the country, out in what they call Tennessee Valley. Live in south side of Clinton now with a wife and 2 children. And I work for IEA, so I've been called everything from a snake oil salesman to somebody who's just in it because it fills my pockets, and that's not true. I went to the top engineering school in the country, received my degree in 4 years, which is not something that a lot of people can even do at that school, and I pursued my professional engineering license. And as a professional engineer, we have to uphold a code throughout our career. And that code says that we will uphold the health, welfare, and safety of the public. If I didn't believe in wind energy, if I didn't believe in solar energy, I wouldn't be employed in this industry. My degree and my professional engineering license are 2 of the most important things that I have. So if I didn't believe that wind energy was safe and reliable and good for communities, then I would not be employed in this industry. I wanted to wait till the very end because there's been a lot of misinformation, a lot of things spoken tonight that it's not factual. So I want to start with the height of the towers. We heard 730 feet to the nacelle. That is incorrect. I've also heard from someone, I won't put their name out, but they thought that it was going to be close to 1/3 of a mile was how tall these wind turbines were going to be. I can tell you that 730 feet to the nacelle of the tower is too tall for any type of crane in the world to handle. So there's been a lot of misinformation. Nobody knows what wind turbine technology is going to look like in 5 or 6 years when this project actually does come to fruition. Sure, we may have taller wind turbines, but right now in the industry, we're looking at 100 to 130, 140 meter hub heights. Not 730 feet, which is 222 meters. Another thing with the wind industry is it's still a very new industry and still being developed. It's very early on. I've heard people say that after 25 years, they tear it down, they move on. Or they take the components out, they bury them in a landfill, cover them up. It's not true. After 25 or 30 years, which is where we're at in the industry right now, we're 20 to 25 years after this industry started. And IEA is very much involved in what's called repowering. And that's where we come into existing wind farms. And we take components down. We may take the blades, we may take the nacelle, and we'll replace them with new, better, more efficient components to extend the life of those wind farms. They're not always coming in, knocking them down, and moving on. The blades of the nacelles, or the towers, there's been a lot of information, videos, things posted on Facebook and whatnot, which everything on Facebook's true. Where they're just burying them in landfills. And I have some information here that I can't share because it did come from a confidential customer of ours. But wind turbine blades are actually being processed, milled down, and used in cement mixes, which, who knows, they may be used in the cement mix for future wind turbine foundation designs. I don't know. But they are being used for other purposes. I wanted to come up here and talk about technical things, but I'm not. I just want to talk personally. I live on the south end of Clinton with a wife and 2 children, and every day I tell my wife, I'm ready to pack a bag and move to Florida. That's where we want to be. We would like to move 15 hours south of here and be a stone's throw away from Disney World. We want our kids to grow up there. But I truly believe in this industry, and so that's what's kept me here. I've heard the good name of White Construction and IEA dragged through the mud quite a bit throughout these last few months. I've heard it's called sellouts, which is completely false. White Construction got to a point where we got big, maybe too big for our britches, and it was time to grow. So White Construction merged with a company called IEA, and now we sit atop the list of the top renewable energy contractors in the United States. So
dragging the name of the folks from White Construction and IEA through the mud is not a fair thing to do either. So, I've said my piece. I fully support the renewable energy industry, and I would even if I worked at McDonald's or Casey's General Gas Station.
Thank you, Caleb. Anyone else have anything they'd like to say? Hold on, I got two people that want to speak still.
Can you clarify the 737 feet per mile was what was on the permit?
They have not applied for a permit.
But that was what was the information that was given for Vermillion County?
Is that correct, Bob?
That would be to the tip of the blade. That was all the 12 o'clock position.
Say that again, Caleb.
That would be to the tip of the blade at what they call the 12 o'clock position. So think of like a clock.
Okay, so that was 735 would be the top of the blade straight up. Okay.
Okay. And the second thing, can you clarify that every location that you see on that map, they have not signed up for a permit?
That is correct. When that map was released, I don't believe any Apex people are in here currently, but they had to apply, start their FAA permitting process, so they had to pick locations. So the map was just places they randomly picked in the general area that they were looking at. That doesn't mean that if you zoom in really close, it doesn't mean that farm landowner signed. All right, Teresa. Is that good, Shirley? Anything else? Okay.
I just have a couple more things. Teresa Baker, Vermillion County. For the APC, in the ordinance, I didn't see anything as far as a permit fee when they request a permit. Okay, and then the other thing was a penalty fee. So if they are not in compliance with the ordinance, I would like to see a penalty put in there. And then just a couple more things. Part of my agenda, I guess you would say, is I don't like to see tillable farm ground used for wind turbines. Farm ground is for farming, to produce food. Some of the research I did was in the year 2050, there are going to be 2 billion additional people in the world. So that's only less than 30 years from now. And I think we need to be trying to figure out how to produce more food instead of giving our acres, our good tillable acres away to wind turbines or solar or anything else along those lines. I'm not sure why that wind turbines or the developers pick farmland for their locations to do this, but I would think there's plenty of other locations that wind turbines can go on. Thank you.
All right. I'd like to thank everyone for coming out this evening. Bob, do you have anything you want to close up with?
No.
I'm going to follow up with, we have another town hall in Cayuga at the fire department on Thursday beginning at 6, same forum. And then our next regularly scheduled APC meeting is July the 8th at 6 o'clock at the Commissioner's Courtroom. And it's open to the public. Thanks.